So there was a very special trip that I was supposed to take this year with my fishing buddies, Mike and Sean. You've seen them in videos, and a couple other guys that haven't been in videos yet that are very talented that I'd like you guys to meet, because I feel like they've been played a very good part in how well I've been fishing this year for bass. I was supposed to make this trip to the Susque, was looking forward to it. Some things fell through, which prevented me from being able to go. This trip was a little bit different because there was actually a tourney they were doing on Sunday of that weekend. I love hearing these stories from these guys, and I always thought to myself, man, these would make really good stories that I think some of my viewers would love to hear. So I brought most of the guys together. Some of the guys are missing, and we're going to tell you the story. We're going to sit down at Virgin Run and talk about it, get the details, and I think you guys will be interested in it as much as I am, and we may even learn something together.
Chatterbaits, man.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm like, I didn't even think it. Look, I even threw a little extra shit in there for
Here,
you.
man.
You stripper?
Well, lady, maybe cuts a couple strippers' hair, so there might be a little bit of stripper juice on there.
It actually smells pretty good.
There's 50.
I still have poison all over my
That's going in. It's in the video. Like, so it's KBKS. They have like a river section and like a lake section, and like.
Well, I think it's something. I mean, I think it's really cool, man. It's something that got me to fish a tournament this year. I wasn't going to fish any tournaments this year. And then Van Time actually got a hold of us and was talking about, or Mike too, and talking about having an actual just river series where it's going to be nothing but rivers.
That's awesome. That's what got my interest. I was like, oh, they do that?
It's an obvious thing, man. I love fishing rivers. I always fish rivers. I mean,
right.
I mean, all day. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love fishing lakes. I love fishing. I mean, what they were trying to do is just get both, like sides of it. Because there's a lot of people that like to use electronics and using their 360, doing all kinds of crazy stuff out in lakes and fishing that way.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are afraid of fishing rivers. I think that's what it comes down to, because they're not familiar with it.
Right. That's what's weird, because that's all I really know. Like, I did some of this,
but to
other people,
guy,
yeah.
It's probably weird that we like rivers.
Yes.
That's so wild to me. Like,
and they don't understand them. They don't understand, like, oh, that little swirl, that means there's a giant rock underneath there, so you should probably buy that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or, oh, okay, let's pattern them this way or that way, and figuring that out. Like, they're used to seeing, oh, okay, boom, there's a giant school of fish out here. I know there's a big bridge pylon. I could fish this out in the lake. I could sit here for 10 hours, and there's fish down there.
Right.
The river, it changes every minute, man.
Right, every day. You could be there an hour later, it'd be completely different.
Yeah, every year it does. I
right.
mean, granted.
Yeah, even the river itself, like the eddies, the banks, the way shit looks, rocks placements and shit, trees.
I think it was Van Time that really put the word out there, because we were talking about this a long time ago. Me, Russell, and BP talking about just getting
started up.
Yeah, we wanted to start. Yeah, but that's before BASS was starting a thing here, and we were actually talking about getting involved with them and just having a straight river series. But I mean, at the time, he just opened his pasta business. I was helping my wife out with the salon, and then, working. And I mean, everybody's working, kids, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
So it just kind of, always got put on a back burner. And then see something like this pop up. I mean,
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's why I fished every tournament this year. I did. We made a point to do it.
So is it over, or is there one more left?
There's one more left now.
It's a 2-day event.
Yeah, it's a 2-day event. It's between the champions of the lake, the top 10 in the lake, and the top 10 in the river, I believe it is.
Okay.
So it'll be, I think day 1 will be Saturday. That'll be the Allegheny River. And then day 2 will be Sunday, which will be Wilhelm.
Makes it like fair, because now lake guy got to do the river, and the river guy got to do the lake.
The last time I have fished them two, that combination, I think I was ahead by 20-something inches.
Oh my God!
2 days, yeah. I think I had 111 inches.
Yeah,
2 days.
Whoever's in this, they're.
No, you can't ever say that, man.
No, right.
Serious. Yeah, you never know, but they do have the whole. Well, they do have that whole section opened up now where they had blocked off the previous years on Lake Wilhelm where you couldn't fish because it was protected. That's open now.
Yeah.
So that's it's a whole different ball game, man. So
right.
It's anybody's ball game, really. It
right.
is.
So I guess right now you're sitting. Okay, how do I want to make this happen?
So like Matt won Angler of the Year for the river.
Right. Yeah.
He won Angler of the Year. That's over with.
Okay. So that's and so explain Angler of the Year. How does that work?
It's just
it's all points based. I think it's the best 3 tournaments. But the kicker is if you get to the river championship, it's double points. So you can have a shit year, and have 2 bad tournaments on your thing. But if you go to the river championship and you do good, you're in the top 3 or whatever, that's double points. So instead of being whatever it is, like we'll say 120 points is for first place, it would be 240 points would be for first place. So you could actually come back and win Angler of the Year by...
Yeah, it would have been tough.
Yeah.
Because you was up there.
Yeah.
Only thing you gotta do is finish strong every time.
Yeah, every time.
Just win. It's hard, and then they
bad.
can't beat you. If you just win. Then there's always that guy that's like, oh, I had the fish on to beat you.
Well, and that's...
Don't fire showing up on a Sunday afternoon.
No, but you know,
You don't want this going on YouTube. Let me fucking tell you that right now.
I had probably multiple fish on that day too. I probably could have been close to 100.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's fishing, man.
Fishing.
That's fishing, dude.
Right.
Like
you always almost had that.
Yeah, you can't cry over
Everybody
spilt, you know.
does, dude. You know what I mean? Everybody loses fish every day.
Right, every time you go out.
You cannot go up and brag to somebody and say, hey, dude, I almost had you.
Right.
You never had
Right,
you never had your car.
You never had your fish.
You never had your fish.
That's right.
You know who you are, motherfucker. You know who you are.
I love you, Sean. I love you, buddy.
Oh, dude.
Matt went in the final tournament at like 298, and then he won first. So he ended up with like 600 points.
So,
no one's gonna touch him.
Not possible.
Because like he won first, so that's 200 points right there.
Right. Oh, so the points add up for all of it. Like,
every
since you got
tournament.
Angler of the Year, you're basically unbeatable at this point. You have so many points.
He already won.
Yeah,
It's already over.
yeah. For
So like, I didn't even know that.
He won, as soon as the Susky was over, he won.
So they call it. I think it's the tournament champions. It's more along the lines of just bringing both sides together and having.
At this point, it's just like a fun thing, kind of just
Yeah,
to
because
see what the lake does in the river and what the river does in the lake.
You win.
Just money. There ain't nothing at this point.
Yeah,
it's just,
Is it just money?
It's just plaques. And
Well,
money.
that's what I mean. Because they're still starting off. You know what I mean?
So the main thing for me with wanting to do this and talk about this, like the most thing that interests me was how you guys did this, right? So you didn't just like drive down there in a big, nice RV, sleep in your cool RV, and like you can take a shit in the toilet and wake up and go fish for the tournament. You guys went down there after you worked all week, full-time jobs, drove down there, 4.5 hours away. You probably fished that night just because that's how you do shit, you know what I mean?
Are you talking Susky?
Yeah.
See,
Exactly.
The Susky. We usually plan this trip every year to go to Susquehanna around Labor Day. We either do it Labor Day weekend or the weekend before or after. We're always around this same time.
So we had plenty of time to like rent a hotel or do
yeah.
something easy way.
Smart.
But we just choose not to.
Right.
No,
that's what astonishes me, because like
We want to be
honestly,
as close to that water as possible like,
Right.
when you're there.
you're sleeping on like islands and shit along the river for multiple days, which already is rough in itself. Like if I sleep in too long or wake up too early, I'm useless.
It drains you, man. It does.
It
like,
does.
I went
an
out.
island this
We
summer.
were sleeping in rocks. We were
Rocks.
sleeping in the parking lot.
Right. So you're sleeping in a parking lot. It's even better.
He got out of the truck because it was too hot and slept in the parking lot. He was passed out in the bed of his truck. I said, I went out and slept in the rocks where he did. Almost put my head in his big snuff laying on the ground.
It was a midday nap, and
It
a
was
midday
a-
nap
we was
is
waiting
like
for Bob
90
to get
degrees. Yeah,
there.
it's like 85 degrees, 90
Oh my
degrees.
God.
It was
Yeah.
hot as fuck.
That
We
was
fell
Friday
asleep
afternoon.
originally in the vehicles, but the sun started coming to the point where it was coming in the passenger side and
Cooking
his
the fuck out of
cooked
him.
on.
He has very
But
fair
the thing
skin.
is too, like this wasn't just the Susky. We did this all year for every tournament.
Yep.
Yes.
We just
Well-
left it. Every
Even
tournament we
the
went to,
campground.
we did the same shit.
Yeah, we did one tournament. We went to the campground.
And it was still, we slept in hammocks.
And then this dude wins the tournament on the third day out there.
Beat down, tired.
Right. How
like-
could you even focus on what you're doing?
And you
I
laughed,
told
and I'm
him.
dead serious. I ran out of chatterbaits, man, and I was like, oh man, I got 2 left. They were yours, bud.
That's
No,
what's
Swear to
wild.
God,
Like,
my life, dude. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna throw them, dude. This is what they want, man. This is the color they want. So I legit grabbed one of them, and what the hell did I put on it? I put a Hot Snakes
Razor shed.
razor shad. Yep, razor shad on the back of it. And I just started slow rolling that thing through the center of the river where all the giant boulders are usually at, and they were covered. And dude, just annihilated them.
my mind wasn't even thinking about that. I was literally just in my garage thinking, dude, I've had these guys baits for like a month now, and like I haven't seen them. Like I'm like, oh my God, they're all gonna be together. Like I have to hand these out. I'm like, Mike, can you please take these and hand them out to everybody? Because like I don't know when I'm gonna get
Man,
everyone
I ain't
together.
gonna lie, dude. Don't get your head all big, but it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have won that tournament.
Well, well, okay.
That's serious.
So
That's serious.
So what you have to understand though is, yeah, it was my bait, but you put any bait in that dude's hand, I'm pretty sure he's gonna win the tournament, as long as it's what he knows they want. So what's crazy on my side, you guys will blow your mind. I didn't even really know about the Susky until these guys mentioned. I was like, Susky, that sounds familiar. So like me as like I pretty much consider myself a bass fisherman, but like a laid back, like I just like enjoy fishing. Like I never knew about it. And then you guys just show me pictures. I'm like, this exists in PA?
Now though too out there, I mean, you catch a 15 to 16 inch fish, they're almost the same weight as the fish out in Lake Erie, which they don't have to battle current. They don't have to battle the elements like they do in the river. So
right,
that
so the
weight that they have, you
ones
gotta understand,
muscle,
is
right?
mostly muscle. So whenever you hook an 18, 19 inch fish, that's why I think it's more of a challenge, definitely in that river.
Not even
Right.
an 18, 19. We'll just say a 16.
Oh.
A 16 at the Susky fights like a
18
probably a
here.
19 in the Yacht.
Right.
But dude, whenever it's like summertime, or especially this upcoming fall, them fish get pissed, man.
Yeah.
And they will bend hooks.
So how did you get started on the Susky? So how did you learn about it? How did you get out there?
It initially started, Russell Johnson and me started making trips out there. He did a couple tournaments out there and was showing me pictures and telling me about it and everything. So we pretty much took 2 years pretty much, and we fished from down below Harrisburg by Clark Lake all the way up to Sunbury. And we fished every single section of that river.
Yeah.
And we found out what works, we found out what doesn't work. We've had our heart broken, we've had, you know what I mean, we've had dates of our lives out there, you know what I mean, like
Right.
just days where you can't even make it up.
So real quick, something to clarify. So as we're talking about like how you guys taught me stuff, whatever, and you guys were like just looking over here. So you're basically saying that like these two are the main ones
Hell yeah.
that showed you like what you knew, and you guys are like passed on to me, and I'm just the whole time like, man, why these guys like help me so much? Like,
Thanks to this guy in the
But
orange, he's the one
Why
that
would
fishing.
I stop?
That's
He helped me, so I'm gonna help someone.
and the funniest
He
part
had one
about it-
fishing pole and a little sit-in kayak when he moved in next to me,
Yeah.
and he was like, and I took him out and let him use the boat, and a couple years later, he's got more crafts than I do. He's
That's
got
awesome.
that raft, the stand-up paddleboard. He's ready to do his own thing.
right.
But we all learn off each other still though.
Right,
That's
right,
that's the thing
It-
that a lot of people they
Yeah.
don't want to comprehend that. They want to be the best angler. They want to be you're not the best angler. Sorry to say that. Nobody's the
Yeah,
best angler.
And like so
We
like
all can go out right now in this lake, and one of you guys is going to be the best angler today out on that lake.
right, anybody, it could be anybody.
Hey.
Like,
It could be Vicky.
You're right. Yeah.
Granted, but
could be.
I mean that's the thing. The experience definitely helps you out because I've done this a million times and been on this lake. So has he.
Right. So they get that little edge because that
So,
little bit of knowledge.
Prime examples, Clarion. At the Clarion tournament, none of us ever fished there.
Nope.
We all fished that water in a group.
And I ain't
Someone
gonna lie, Mike caught the biggest fish in the Clarion River, smallmouth, hands down.
After I caught my 5,
It was 19 and a half,
I
wasn't it?
threw the Hellgrammite down and I grabbed a chatterbait.
Yeah. And
Was
so-
it 19?
19 and a quarter.
19 and a quarter, but I'm no bullshit. I'm for the Clarion River. That's like a Yacht 22.
Yeah.
That's
That is.
wild.
That is.
But back onto the Susquehanna, people from other states come to Pennsylvania to fish the Susquehanna.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a well-known, like across the country
Like-
almost.
Like, there's a lot of West
People
Virginia
come
guys,
here to fish that
Maryland
river.
guys.
Right.
Especially Maryland guys.
But
Yeah.
then back onto that, this dude here needs to tell his story of the Juniata trip that he had while we were out doing the tournament.
I don't want to.
No, go ahead, go
I don't
ahead.
want to
never even-
rehash
I
it.
didn't-
He didn't even hear it, Bob.
I never
I
even
know,
heard about that.
dude.
All right, so let's hear it.
I slid in under the bridge there where we go home. I forget what number.
Where you
road
said
that
all
is.
them kids were throwing shit. And
Yeah, there were some ruffians hanging out in the
Yeah.
tunnel, and I
He
was like, I ain't
said,
parking
I
here
didn't even want
tonight.
to park my shit
That's why I
down
didn't fish
bud.
there Friday evening, because I got stuck in that turnpike traffic for like an hour. I'm sitting there out of my vehicle on the turnpike, playing with baits in the bed of my truck, waiting to get to these guys that are on the Susquehanna napping in the parking lot, you know. And I'm like, and I pass over this section of Juniata, and I'm like, well, if I stop and fish now, I'll have like an extra hour to fish, because, you know, I still got to drive to get to them. I scoped it out, and I didn't fish. I went and met up with them, because I was kind of excited to meet up and have some beers with them. I didn't fish the tournament, because I had to come back home. So I stopped at that same spot where I crossed over the Juniata, and I fished it. And I'm working these bridge piers with this buzz bait, missing them. missing them. Finally connect with one, little one, decent one, got it in there. Seen a couple that I missed that were big, pretty big fish. And for the next like hour and a half, I caught a fish every 5 casts. And also had 5 break me off that were the 5 big bites.
Oh my God.
Like every fish that I landed was like 13, 14 inches. I had my drag set too tight looking back, like
yeah,
just those bigger fish in that current, but it was all shallow water. And I paddled up, drifted down, because I had to be out of the water at 9 o'clock, and then walked up this side of the river that I had parked on, catching fish with the fluke, catching fish with the buzz bait, picked up the Helgramite rod, catching fish with it. And I'm like, this is wow, you know, and my GoPro is sitting in the truck because that's what I wanted to happen, was like, I'd rather miss out on the footage and catch the fish.
That happens today.
Yeah. A good one broke me off and I was like, oh man. And it was broke right at the knot. I actually took a picture. I haven't sent it to you guys yet. I'm like, what does this look like? And I was gonna say Juniata sorrow. Because it's like the remnants of a polymer knot that just broke, and you know, sad times. So anyway, I throw that. I had one rod left. It was the Helgramite rod, and it broke off. So then I just grabbed a Ned hook and tied a big turd on, dipped it in some stank juice, and whipped it as far as I could up in front of me, right? Like dead nuts in front of me, straight. And I'm like 60, 70 yards from where I put in, so I'm almost back.
Now you were waiting at this point.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've been walking for the last hour, just catching fish.
Water,
like literally just walking up river. Like cast to the bank, catch a fish, cast up in front of me, catch a fish, cast towards the middle, catch a fish, and just walking the whole time. It's insane. And breaking off the big ones, and I'm like, man, that long cast, and I was like, ooh. And he was just like, and could barely get out of the water. Like he just barely come out of the water. It was like slow motion in my head. He was just like, bro. I was like, why? And then he was so big. He was so big. I'm telling you, he was a 2022, man. He was just giant tail, like that bag, but with a head and a tail.
Oh my
it was
God.
Huge.
That's wild, dude.
So big. I almost drove back out there yesterday so I could go fish it again this morning. It haunted me like for an hour. I couldn't even focus on driving. I just kept seeing that fish jump. And I'm like, oh man, dude. When you feel it and it just kind of just, it just stops.
Oh yeah.
And he's moving and then he comes out of the water.
That's exactly what that 19 did to me on Sunday, man. I hooked him with that chatterbait and that fast shit.
My heart fell.
Yeah. And did you do, like, say, just with them guys, just sleeping on the parking lots and shit?
He cooked?
Yeah.
Okay.
I took the Blackstone out.
Yeah.
The little tailgate Blackstone, and we cooked fajitas.
He's kind of like the camp dad. We're
some
like
elk and chipped deer.
We're the drunken kids.
Then we had some cheeseburgers and
bacon
brats.
Cheeseburgers.
Oh yeah, they were good.
We
We cooked hash browns and breakfast sandwiches and
burritos,
shit.
hot dogs.
So
I just went out for a good time, but I actually could have. You know, I fished that one York tournament, like in the top 10, I think, and
he was in.
By someone deferring, I got invited, and I could have fished it, but I could only stay till 9 o'clock. I had two prior arrangements, just a busy weekend with family stuff, and things happen, and just stuff pops up, and.
Did you catch anything nice while you're out there for that little bit?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that fucker caught a 19, bud.
Yeah, I got one right at 19.
He caught a fat 19.
The 18.75 on the second day, he figured out that pattern when it was on the fluke. He yelled back, just throw it out there. Dead stick it. This is another reason I don't fish as much as my hands jacked up.
Yeah.
I got some issues with nerves and whatnot, and I'm fishing and I'm just like, my hands beat, throwing this chatterbait and spinnerbait. I'm gonna grab this fluke and just whip it out there, and I shoved it in the rod holder, and Mike's laughing, what are you doing trolling over there?
I do that shit.
I was like, hell yeah, let me get a little, go crank, get that slack out a little bit there. Forgot about it.
Yeah.
I better reel this in. The wind started turning me. I'm gonna reel this in. I grabbed it, I was like, oh, there's a fish. It was like a 17-inch smallmouth out in the middle.
That's awesome. You went to the Susky How did it go for you?
How did the tournament go for me?
Yeah.
It was weird, dude. We all caught fish all weekend, so it was a good time, you know what I mean? And we kind of figure out what the fish wanted. So you go into the tournament thinking this is what the fish want, and obviously it worked for him. I finished top 10, I made it to the next tournament, but the tournament for me wasn't how the whole weekend went, which was weird. I caught a real big one first thing in the morning. It was a 19 before he caught his. So that's the only reason I won big bass, is because I caught mine before he caught his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how it works. If it's a tiebreaker for big bass, I guess it's the first one who catches it is who gets it.
See, I didn't know that. That's good information because I had no idea.
And I caught mine. That was the first fish I caught, was a 19-inch. And I caught it. I caught it coming down in current, right? And he was right along weeds in the fast shit. And I pitched in, and there was like a little stick sticking out of the water. I pitched in. As soon as it hit the water, he ate it. I caught it on a jackhammer stealth blade.
This is it. This is the Lord.
This is it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I figured out where they're at, where the big ones are at. He ate this.
Yeah.
So this, I thought I figured it out.
Right.
I tried that pattern for the rest of the day, and I'm stubborn. I suck at fishing because I'm stubborn.
Right.
I can't adapt. It's just I don't want to. You know what I mean?
I do the same thing.
Like, you want to fish.
You had a plan A, you need a plan B, and you got to know when to flip the switch to plan B.
That's one reason I struggle.
It's hard when plan A worked immediately.
Immediately.
And then you're like, you don't want to do anything
exactly.
else.
But Sean, in all fairness, man, like you really haven't been, I mean, like really fishing out of a kayak and like really hitting it.
This
like
is only second year.
That's what I'm trying to say,
Oh,
man.
so
This is my first full. I started this last year. Yeah, second year.
Yeah, like legit,
I started
like,
fishing tournaments last year.
Like between these two dudes and like the last 2 years watching these dudes evolve, it's
Crazy.
like, oh, it's nuts, dude. It's awesome.
Right.
And I'm glad
It
he
is.
says that, because this guy always says that we suck at fishing. But
Oh, we still suck.
You definitely don't.
the amount of growth that I see in myself and even him, and coming back to the point of he's a really good angler, but all of us combined fishing together,
It's deadly.
you
It's
learn,
fucking deadly.
Right,
you learn
right.
so much shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I've learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot from him. We've learned shit from you. Everyone's learned shit
Right.
from me. And that's the thing. Like, you can never know enough doing
Right.
this, you know what I mean?
Just gonna interrupt real quick though, because this right here is what gets it done whenever it's high and muddy on the Susquehanna.
Yeah. Dark
right there.
black. Yeah.
Put something black on the back of there and let this thing hit the bottom. And
So
jig it.
what did you use for a trailer?
It was a Hot Snakes.
Oh, you said that.
Yep, a Hot Snakes Z-Man
Razor shad. Yep.
The water was clearing up, so I didn't throw a paddle tail. If the water was dirty, I would have kept the paddle tail on. You know, this place is more water. But you could have got away with, definitely with these, throwing one of them like 5-inch jerk shads on the back of them, dude.
Okay.
That would be key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I had on mine. So I caught the big one on the stealth blade, and it's weird because a lot of people don't really throw stealth blades. They don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? They overlook them. I love those things. It doesn't matter, clear water, dirty water, they work.
Right.
I've learned that they work. Matt knows they work, but a lot of people, you know what I mean, they don't want to throw them. One thing I try to do too is I try to be different. I don't want to be throwing exactly whatever. I'm just weird like that. I want to do something different and figure out if it works.
If it works better.
And see if it
Right.
works, yeah.
Right.
So most of the time, you know, if these guys are throwing chatterbaits or if they're throwing ploppers or whatever, I'm throwing a buzz bait or I'm throwing a stealth blade.
Spinnerbait more because you guys were throwing the chatterbaits.
Yeah.
and
I just try to be
sticking to the
different,
spinnerbait.
try to do different things to try to figure out what they want. Like going back to the Clarion River, these dudes were busting them up on a fishing with this chatterbait or a jackhammer.
Right.
I finished top 5 with a stealth blade. That's all I threw all day was a stealth
Right.
blade. And it was stained dirty water. So you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really matter. It's just your preference, really.
You got to have that bait. You got confidence.
You gotta, yeah, you
Right.
gotta.
I've heard you say that a bunch of times. and that makes so much
you
sense.
You can't not repeat that enough though to people, man. Like, this you're having a tough time anywhere. Just go to that bait that you have confidence in, and even if you don't catch fish, you're still fishing.
Right.
That's where people fall off, because I'm not going to go out here right now and throw a 15-foot dive, deep dive and crankbait right now.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But if I had confidence in that, I could probably go out there
Right.
and do that and
Right.
catch fish on it because I have confidence in it. I'm fishing it correctly. I'll be fishing it faster. I'll fish it with 20-pound test. I'll keep it up out of the weeds.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It just goes
It's
through your
about
head.
effort. It's whatever
Yeah.
you want that you want to put effort into. If you put effort into it, you're going to get something back. You did a tournament too. So how'd it go for you?
Chatterbait. We was all fishing together. We was fishing pretty close.
What kind of chatterbait? No.
I was using your chatterbait. It
There-
was a very different, unique color.
Oh, right.
Our special.
Yeah. What'd you call it?
At heartburn.
The heartburn.
And it was dark, muddy water, and I was just using a mainly white bait.
Well, I mean, some people do like white for muddy water. They say that, but like I was always against it. I always went dark.
When
It was sunny.
Yeah, when it's sunny like that, man, the white, I mean, you could definitely, I mean, dude, throwing white swim jigs, chatterbait, stuff like that, spinner baits, man, you could definitely pick them up doing that.
It's kind of like goes with him. It's like everybody's throwing dark shit. I'm gonna throw something for weird.
Right.
And it had some red in it. I like red.
I do like red. I'm liking red more and more.
It has a little sprinkle of red in it.
I think it's purple and red, I think it is. That's the two colors that fish can see the best whenever it's that deep.
But so you end up, what, finishing 4th?
Yeah, well, after I caught my 5th fish, which was a 17.5, right next to Matt and I do believe Eddie. And I think Zach was close. 17.5 was like my 5th fish. And then I just kind of stopped, submitted them all, and I was in like 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, is what it is. And then I just kept working the chatterbait. We were coming down towards the end, like towards the takeout, because we've never floated this section. I knew the takeout was on river left, so I went clear left. I was against the bank. I was kind of panicking because I was like, I don't want to pass up the takeout and have to paddle back up. So I called Sean. He's like, dude, we're in the islands. And I was like, where's the takeout? He's like, I don't know. Ended up fishing. I was about 20 feet off of the bank, throwing towards the middle, retrieving it in, and I caught a fish like right next to my boat. That fish called a fish, went to the bank so I wouldn't lose my spot, measured it, went back out, started floating down again. 15 feet from that spot, I pulled another fish in the same exact like area. I said, oh, all the fish are like 20 foot off the bank. By that time, it was real hot. They were already at the takeout.
Yeah, we were done.
He called and he said, where are you at?
We got off the water, I got off the water, I think it was 12:30.
Yeah, I was off the water. Yeah, we were off
We could have fished for another hour and a half, you know what I mean, in the tournament.
It just gets even better. He's like, I already won. It's just like,
It wasn't even that,
You
dude.
fished the whole fucking
They
thing.
were done. They were toast.
Between that sun and the days we was out there fishing, I was legit just spent.
It's wild.
That sun had me baked, me paddling. I was like, you know, I was done. I said, hey, if you could catch more fish, do it, man, because I'm done.
That's I caught my 5th fish right at the takeout on a finesse jig.
Yeah.
That's how shitty the day was. I caught my last fish right at the takeout on a finesse jig, just jigging in the middle. And it was like an 11-incher, and I said, you know what, this is good enough. If I make it, good. If not, whatever.
Right.
I was done, dude. It's fun, but fishing that river, dude, it's a different animal. You gotta,
Well,
it kills you.
Don't you guys look back and be like, if I didn't sleep on the river for 2 days in a row, what if I would have been up there with second with Matt? Or like that doesn't cross your mind?
Nope. At that point, dude, how I looked at it was, I'm going to fish the weekend with the boys, and I'm gonna have a good time.
There you go.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much energy I kill doing this. It's the whole experience is what I do it for.
Right.
Right.
So back to that real quick. Me and him peeled up on some grass island. It was where the river split off.
I forgot about this.
It was just, dude, so we didn't know what was out there. The water was dirty.
We were just going off of high water, dirty clarity. We're at the top of an island around submerged grass. We're gonna park
We were
here.
just sitting there, chilling.
yeah.
I was just chunking the chatterbait out. Like 3rd cast, I had a fucking giant fish on. I said, oh my God. It was like a 17 or something. Threw him back in. By this time, he's there too. And I said, there's fish out there, bud. Start casting. I just kept casting. I had a giant on. I was too lazy to get out of my boat and just walk 10 feet in water that's like this deep. Had him in the grass, and then it got off. He goes, hole. He goes, oh, you mean this hole? He paddled out in front of me. First cast in the hole, dude. He tugged in, what, an 18 3/4?
Yeah.
So like,
I did apologize to him because what happened was I paddled up to him, right, and he was already sitting there. It was just peeling current down, and I was paddling my ass off, and that's why I was just like chilling there for a second because I was fucking dead tired. I was gonna paddle up to Matt, and when I paddled out, I just threw a cast in.
Yeah.
Tugged the giant in, and by the time I got him in the net, I was already downriver, fucking
30 yards, 50 yards.
You remember that section there was fucking cooking, dude.
Same thing, man. You catch a big fish, go to the bank.
Yeah.
Go to a grass island, go to a bank, get out of your kayak, get situated where if this fish flops around and does whatever he wants to do, you can manage him. I'm to that point where if you catch a fish over 15, go straight to the bank.
Go to the bank.
Go straight to the bank. Get a measurement on it. Make sure you got a good picture. Keep it in the net.
Unless
Good
you're in
picture,
like a
release
slow
it, go.
section of river where you can kind of anchor down and get your net situated on the outside of your boat, because I do that a lot. I shove my net under my seat, and when I'm in a tournament, I put my net at the end of my bump board.
So long story short, tournament side, he's definitely in first. Me, him, even Eddie are still in top 10 for like angle of the year and points.
Right. That's pretty wild. Yeah. So as a viewer perspective of this, it's a new tournament, but looking at it through an eyes, if it's somebody that hasn't ever done a tournament, it would be a good one to start.
Oh yeah.
Because it's all
did it.
Yeah.
A young 17-year-old kid come in.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, and this is the easiest possible way for you to get in a tournament and ask anybody when it comes to kayak tournaments.
Right.
Like, granted, like you're gonna get certain ones where you get the douchebags and ones that don't want to. They just look at you like this or that. You know,
Right.
blah blah blah, whatever. But for the most part, seriously, if I'm out on the water, we're fishing a tournament. I know in KBF rules, like you can't talk to the next competitors and tell them what you're catching them on. No, if you're having a hard day and I'm seeing somebody struggle in a tournament or not, hey, dude, throw this tube on, man. This is what don't you see me smashing them over here?
Right, yeah.
Like that's why I enjoyed doing this, because it's I mean, yeah, it is competitive, it is,
Right.
but it's also, don't be afraid to do different things and learn. You know what I mean?
Right. Because like I get a lot of people on my channel that ask me where I'm at, and I have once a week, maybe probably even 5 times a week at some point, I have to be like, listen, I don't give out locations. Why I'm bringing that up though is like the tournament thing is, if you're somebody that doesn't do tournaments, but you're somebody that wants to fish and you want to find new spots, do the tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to tell you where to go.
Or guess what? If you want to become a better angler.
Right, you get to see all this different water, all these different things. It's all...
because you're going to learn. I learned stuff on the Susky. I learned stuff on the Allegheny. I learned stuff on Erie. I've learned stuff everywhere I've ever fished. I've learned a different way to fish, a different way that I'm able to adapt it here.
Right.
In my home water.
Right. Not a tournament guy, I probably never will be. It does interest me a little bit because you guys are doing all this shit, get to see all this crazy stuff and all these places, and like,
that's what the experience
sounds amazing.
I think that's what the experience is about.
Right. But like, so if somebody was interested in doing that, where would they go to get this started and what to do? You know what I mean?
KBKS.
KBKS.
You could do that or just download Tourney X, dude. Tourney
X.
I'll say first,
download Tourney X, because that's what, I mean, I'd say probably at least 85–90% of these tournaments now are run on.
Okay.
It's just good to get out on the water and experience some of this stuff and see what you want out of it.
Like every state has their own local clubs and stuff. I mean, a lot of them do. You just got to kind of go to the tackle shops and spend time on the water to talk to people. And
but for us, you know, local guys that just like fishing rivers and
on the weekends,
like fishing for smallmouth bass mainly,
and that's
come try River Series.
And that's what I'm thinking, this whole thing, since it is new and it is still kind of smaller, if you would get more local people and keep the local people in there, you wouldn't have crazy people from everywhere, which I feel like would be worse. I would rather like keep it tight to like the area than to try and keep growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and crazier to like people like me are like, I'm not fucking that. Yeah. You know what I mean? A lot.
Hey, you know the baits work. I proved it to you today in person.
Right, yeah.
And I've been telling you that's what we've been using, and they work.
That's awesome. Like I knew when I was making them, like I was like, these are pretty nice. Like I'm not like a chatterbait guy, but I'm like,
that's
oh,
what I
it's good.
said to him, dude. After fishing for like a half a day with one on the Susquehanna River and fishing with it the way we had to fish with it, which was on the bottom, smacking off of rocks. I didn't have one paint chip off that damn thing.
That paint's legit.
I have no. That's why I said, Jesus Christ. I was like, this is better grade than freaking, you know, jackhammers, whatever.
Right. Even
granted,
like,
after I said that, I think it was like, you know, probably about 40–50 more casts. It finally started.
It will.
Finally start going
Mine was smoked. Mine was smoked off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends how you run it too. If you burn them.
Yeah, Mike likes to. He likes to let them soak.
Yeah. I do it like legit too. Like a lot of people, they'll just heat up their jig head, dunk it, and they're done. No, like I bake it. I bake it after that. Yep. And like I even do the blade the same way. I coat the blade with that paint.
Make sure that eye is clear, bud.
Dan, you still have that water cache? I want to see it one more time before we leave. Because I'm not using it. All
right, guys, we'll see you.
See ya. Yeah, that's too far away.